Welcome to our garden. So today I have for you an early May garden tour. So we live in zone 7. For us, part of having a well-stocked home is growing our food, as much of it as we can in the space that we have. So we started growing our food in 2018, and this space where we live now, we moved here in 2022. So the first garden season was 2023, and this is what it looked like when we moved in. So you can see it was just overgrown grass, and it has been so rewarding to see how we've transformed it into a beautiful place for us to not only grow our food and herbs, but a place for us to enjoy. So I hope you enjoyed today's garden tour. And if you're watching this and you do not have the place or ability to garden, my prayer is that this would give you a vision for what could be. When we weren't able to garden, it was always fun to look and see what other people did and tuck those ideas away and do what you can with where you are. So even if it's growing basil in a pot in the window, or I shared the Vego Garden Grow Shelf, I did a review video on it, and that would be perfect for if you're living in a small space like an apartment, but you still want to grow something, that would be a great alternative. First, we're going to look at the bees. So I could do a whole update video on our bees on their own, but this will just be a short little glimpse into what's happening with the bees. Before we get into the main garden, we're going to take a look down here because we've got 2 beehives going. So this was our original beehive. We actually had to buy bees last year. Since we've moved here, we've been trying to catch a swarm and we just never caught any, so we bought them from someone else. It's a really, really good, healthy hive. We were planning on splitting them ourselves, and one day they were all swarming all over the front yard, and then they ended up going back into this original box. So then Scott sat out this hive box that we have, and the next day they all came out and were sitting on the outside of this hive box, and they weren't going in. And so if that's happening, that's usually a sign that that's their holding place until they find a place to live, because they were not going inside. That's when we made the decision to start scooping them in the box, hoping to get the queen inside of the box. Oh my gosh. Okay, I might. Wow.
I wonder if I got the queen in that one, because that was the middle.
Maybe. I would do it again though. Yeah. Oh my word. We never did see the queen, but obviously she was in there because the bees stayed. They've been very happy, and we need to actually add on another box. This is a horizontal hive we got from Dr. Leo. We've never actually used it. We thought we had caught a swarm in it, but it's still empty. And Scott is currently moving wood chips out of our front yard because this weekend he was not home, and where we normally get wood chips from Chip Drop, his truck was in the way and I couldn't move it because it's a stick shift and I don't know how to drive a stick shift. So we had them dump the wood chips in our front yard. So he's currently moving them so it doesn't kill our grass. This is the entrance to our cottage garden. I'm trying to make this a flower garden all on the outside, and it also happens to be an herb garden because last year I had planted oregano from seed. I'll show you where they're currently growing, but somehow 2 of the oregano plants ended up here and here, and they look so good and they're so healthy. And then I'm gonna have zinnias go all the way around. Actually, I'll just go ahead and show you. I tried to make this a zinnia flower garden all the way around last year, and it didn't work because the slugs just ate the zinnias as soon as I planted them in. This year, thus far, the slugs are not completely riddling them. I have started all my zinnias in the house, and so I am hoping that this works. I haven't planted any sunflowers, so all the sunflowers coming up are volunteers. This year I have planted a lot more flowers because I love the mixture of flowers in with our herbs and vegetables. I had planted a lemon balm plant when we moved here that I grew from seed from when we lived in Indiana, and then when we got here I planted it in the ground. Now lemon balm, or Melissa, is part of the mint family, and it puts roots in the ground and it spreads like crazy. So last year I dug out all the lemon balm and I put it in pots, and it didn't do very well in pots. I still have one pot left, but I missed having an abundance of lemon balm, and so obviously because the roots are in the ground now, it all came back this year. I'm leaving it because we really like lemon balm tea. It is so good, and our chickens, well, one of them, like being hand fed the lemon balm. So I'm actually gonna show. Evelyn loves lemon balm. However, she might not be hungry because we've given them so many snacks today. Strawberries that were riddled by slugs and soaked food. Here she, Evelyn. It's your favorite snack. Alfie. Everyone was eating until Alfie came. But if it's just on the ground, they won't eat it. Here is an above view of the garden since we are up here. And I'll show you the compost. We make all of our own dirt, and Scott has a system going for us with these rings. We have found that the rings work best. We've tried pallets, but it's nice to be able to stack it so tall. We've had hardly any rain, so we've had to water the rings. Otherwise it's just too dry and it doesn't compost down. And then Scott will just keep on turning them. So in the next week or two, this ring should be ready. He'll turn it over, and then he'll just let the chickens scratch through it, and then he'll put this ring in here, and then by that time this ring will be full of weeds, chicken bedding. We put all of our lawn clippings from when we mow in there. Oh no, she can't figure out how to get out. Do you need help, Beatrice? I'm gonna go help her. And then this is our fig tree that we've had since 2019, and we finally have planted them in the ground. We have a very bad vole problem. We put a hardware cloth cage around it, and so far that has worked, and they look so healthy. So I'm hoping we actually get figs this year because they should be old enough to start giving us figs. Here's the other fig tree that I didn't know if it was gonna make it. It was the one who stayed dormant the longest, but it's also looking so good. This is St. John's wort from my mom. She grew it from seed, and then I've planted some yarrow here that I've grown from seed. I think I'm gonna put broccoli the rest of the way up. I know it's late for broccoli. I have broccoli that I haven't planted yet, and so it'll just give us a fall crop because it's already too warm this year. This is our strawberry patch, and strawberries are the gift that just keep on giving. So my friend Lauren from Montana mailed me a box of strawberry plants when we moved here our first garden season in 2023. I planted them in this area. I'm sure I took a picture of it. I'll put it up on the screen. Those are the plants that have taken over this whole area. If you can plant your strawberry plants in the ground, I highly recommend it. From my own experience, they do so much better when you actually put them in the ground versus when you have them in pots. You will get so many more strawberries. The plant will be healthier. This year was the first year, so we have this giant oak tree above us. I just let the leaves sit on the strawberry patch all winter. The creeping Charlie had kind of taken over. I ended up clearing all that out, and I think it really helped kill off the older plants and allow the younger plants to thrive. And it has been such a good strawberry year. We've gotten huge strawberries. The season is definitely winding down for this patch. For some reason, this patch always comes first, and then that patch over there comes second. If you can find someone who will give you strawberry plants every year, it shoots out runners, and so it'll always come into the grass, and I will give away as many strawberry plants as I can. And another thing that I did last year at the end of the garden season, when we cut down and cleaned up our garden, we ended up just laying a lot of the plants that we cut down in the garden beds, and then this spring we cleaned them up. So Scott had laid our super tall sunflowers. They were volunteers, I didn't plant them, and they were probably 13 feet tall. Scott laid those branches with the heads still on them. It looked like all the seeds were gone because it looked like the birds had gotten them, but he just laid them all in this strawberry bed, and now look at all that we have. It'll be so interesting if they end up being super tall. I probably should have thinned these two groups out, maybe these smaller ones. Like this one I can pull out and put somewhere else. This is the perfect spot also for sunflowers because the strawberries are done, and so now they'll do so well here. All right, so I'm trying to figure out the direction that we're gonna go. So let's go this way. This is lemon thyme. My mom gave me a start of this. It's a perennial, so once you have it in the ground, it'll just keep on growing. Over here is another herb, and it's also a beautiful flower. This is yarrow, and this is echinacea. Again, I planted it from seed when we lived in Indiana, and this is also the gift that keeps giving, because last year when they were done blooming, I just cut all the stems for both the yarrow and the echinacea. And you can see my yarrow was just this patch, and now it's spreading everywhere because I just laid the branches on the ground, and so it's self-seeded, and that's the same with the echinacea. And now look how much echinacea I have, and I didn't even plant them. So I've always thought that dahlia tubers need to be dug up. I did not dig ours up last year, and look how strong and healthy they are. This is comfrey, and I think I bought this from Azure Standard in our 2023 garden season. Comfrey's also a really good herb. I have so much of it saved in the house. The leaves, it's good for if you're sick, you have upper respiratory problems, you can make tea with it. Here's more dahlias. This is a blackberry bush that I bought from a local nursery 2 years ago, and it is doing so good. We did that method where if you put like a brick on the stem and it starts a new plant, the branch will. So that's what's happening over here. This is a new blackberry plant from the branch of this one. Then this is more echinacea, and then yeah, look at how beautiful these flowers are. So pretty. That means we'll be getting blackberries very soon. This is where our other two fig trees are. So one is here and one is that corner. I tried to do blackberry cuttings by just cutting the branch and sticking them in the ground, but I'm not sure that has worked. Did work here. So I took cuttings from my rosemary bush. February, I believe, I took cuttings of it and just stuck them in the ground over here. And so far, so good. They look really good, like they're actually trying to live. So we'll see if that takes. And then this is a compass plant, which is a massive, tall sunflower type of flower. Now I'll show you our rows. So our garden style is inspired by Richard Perkins. He does this market garden style. It's usually 2-foot rows by either 1 foot or 1.5 foot wood chip paths. We've done this since our 2021 garden season. When we rented, we had 2 garden seasons there. Our first garden season here, we didn't do that, and it was a terrible garden season. So the next year we actually bought compost, we bought wood chips, and ever since then we have been able to get all of our wood chips from Chip Drop, which is a free delivery service. Although this year we desperately needed wood chips, so we put a $20 tip on there. Because of that, we got like wood chips almost immediately. So it's a good way if you're desperate for wood chips to try to get people to come if you leave a tip. This first row, I still am trying to figure things out with this area because I have a lot more I still need to plant. But all of these came back on their own, and this is cucumber. I know that because I grew cucumber here last year. I didn't plant it here last year, it came up on its own, and it was so good. So I'm leaving these. I also have so many volunteer tomatoes, and they look so much better than the tomatoes that I grew from seed. And the tomatoes that I planted that I did grow from seed, like I said, we have a big vole problem, and they have eaten many of the tomatoes that I've already planted. So the volunteers are going to probably end up saving my tomato season this year. I don't know what they're gonna be. I have a feeling they're all cherry tomatoes. Here, I'm probably going to plant pepper plants. Over here is where I have our onions growing. So I have yellow onions and red onions. And then this is going to be an indeterminate tomato row. So we will put up more of these posts, but I will string up my tomatoes and then I will cut off all the suckers. They did so much better 2 years ago when I cut off all the suckers, so I'm gonna do that. We got way more tomatoes that year than we did last year when I was experimenting with leaving all the suckers on. So I'm not leaving the suckers on this year. So this will be probably cherry tomatoes. This row is also gonna be indeterminate tomatoes, and we will put up these posts because we have so many of them. It will be the big tomatoes, so like prune and purple, beefsteak. We'll see if I leave some of these random tomato plants up. These are all balsam flowers. I love the way they look. They're always so pretty. They do take over, but it's nice for the pollinating. This is my cabbage row. We planted a whole row of cabbages from seed and something ate them, which is why you may have noticed this chicken wire fence is now under this entire part of our fence all the way up. The bunny lives in that neighbor's garden. I have a feeling it was a bunny, but then I did find a turtle a few days ago, so it could have also been the turtle. I don't know, but I still had this row planted of cabbages that I've grown from seed, and they're looking pretty good other than the slugs, but we're keeping this on it to protect them from the white moths. This is feverfew, and I didn't know it was a perennial where we live, but you can see it's about to bloom. It is huge. I'm so excited. It's literally about to bloom. So feverfew makes a great tea, and it looks so good there. It's amazing. And then this whole row is just gonna be flowers. I like all of my edging to be flowers because I just think it looks so pretty. So these are all straw flowers, and then snapdragons from last year. This is a dahlia, another from last year. And then I have a whole bunch of snapdragon seedlings that I need to also plant out in here. This is the strawberry row that is still giving us more strawberries. So I'll have to come out here and pick them tonight. This is what I'm talking about. The strawberries this year have been so healthy. Look how good that looks. Don't mind my nails. We went to a banquet, and so I bought fake nails from Publix that were $3 on clearance, and they've already started popping off, so which is fine. I prefer them to pop off. I just wanted nice nails for the banquet. This is the cabbages that I bought from a local nursery that was having all their vegetables half price. And this is arugula that I have let go to seed because I want to save all the seeds. I am out of arugula seed, and you can see there is the seed pod, and it's also good for the pollinators. That's what I've done with all of our broccolis as well, is let them go to seed. We didn't have a lot of flowers going, and you can see one of our honeybees are on it. And then I have started the process of cutting down all of my oregano because they are gonna probably go to flower soon, and they're massive. So all of these are oregano plants. Have more onions over here. We eat a lot of onions. So with our garden, I really try to focus on growing things that we eat an abundance of, things that I would have to buy at the grocery store all the time. My garden space is limited. So I've really tried to hone down on things that I normally buy, things that we consume the most, and the things that I can preserve a lot of. So that's obviously tomatoes. So this is going to be our determinate tomatoes. So I have this whole section, and then the rest of the row is determinate tomatoes. And so those are the tomatoes that bush out. I will not be taking anything off of any of these plants. I will just let them go because there is a limited number of tomatoes that they'll give us. And so I'm just gonna leave all of these be, and then Scott's going to build me a mini conduit pipe frame to hold them, hopefully hold them in. and then we have asparagus down at the end, and then we have 3 mullein plants that have come up on their own. So this one should send out its flower this year because they are a biannual. They last 2 garden seasons. The first one they just stay as a plant, and then the next one they will shoot out a flower. And then we have our elderberry, which look so good. This elderberry plant, it is huge. So I'm going to talk about the way that I pruned them because it's very interesting. So my big plant from last year is this one, and we cut it all the way back to here. You can see, look at that. Massive. I mean, that is huge. This plant is huge. So it's just barely starting to send out its buds. All the ones that I pruned all the way back are like that. So this one I pruned nearly all the way down to the ground, and it is super tall. This one I pruned to here, and so it's kind of a combination. And then this one I did not prune at all. So this one is the shortest, the one that I did not prune at all, but it was the first to give us flowers. So look how many flowers there are. And I'm so excited because in years past, I never wanted to harvest any of the elderflower because if you harvest the elderflower, you're not going to get elderberries. But we're going to have so many this year that I am going to save my elderflower. You could smell this. It smells so amazing. It is the most beautiful flower. It makes the most delicious tea. I've been making simple syrup with it for matcha and for cold brew. It is so good, and there's so many health benefits to elderflower. It's also really good for if you have a cough or a respiratory problem. Elderflower is so good. So the ones that I hardly pruned or only cut back a little bit, like you can see I just cut it to there, I didn't cut it to the bottom, they bloomed earlier, and then the ones that I cut all the way back are going to be blooming later. And I'm actually glad it worked that way because now I'll have elderflower and elderberries all at different parts of the year instead of everything happening at once. So it wasn't planned, but I'm really happy with the way that it's worked out. This entire fence line is elderberry bushes. And then I've got nasturtium. So I planted nasturtium here our first year, and it is the gift that keeps giving. It comes back on its own every year, and it's a great companion plant for tomatoes. And then under here is my English thyme, which is a perennial. It comes back every year. I kind of hate that it's under the shade cloth. I don't think it likes it as much under there, but I need the shade cloth there because my cabbages would be riddled otherwise. So that is the bottom garden. Now to my terraces, which I'm so excited about. This is our new addition this year. I finally feel like I'm able to use this hillside, whereas in the past, every year it's been a little bit of a mess. Hilarious. I don't know if you can see our chickens, but half of them are just sitting up on the compost pile, and Alfie is on the lookout. So cute. Strawberries go up to here, and then I planted russet potatoes here, and once they start popping through the soil, I'll just continue mounding it. And then I have flowers, and I have hollyhocks on either side of this path, which I think will be so cute. And this most recent chip drop had huge logs, so these will probably not all stay here. We just moved them in here to get them off the grass. And by we, I mean Scott moved them in here. I surely did not move these giant logs. Here I have California poppies, and then I have cotton candy status flowers on either side as well. And then here is where I'm going to plant my sweet potatoes, so that way they can vine out. And then in the back is corn. The last time I grew corn for us was in 2019, and we never actually got any corn off of them. I'm very excited to try corn again this year. And then this little pot over here is actually my black-eyed Susans. So the deer, this was in the peanut garden, and the deer were eating the black-eyed Susan blooms, so they never actually went to bloom. So this year I dug them up and put them inside the fence, and I also have to put them inside of a pot or a cage because the voles also eat the black-eyed Susan roots. And I love black-eyed Susans. They feel very nostalgic to me because my mom has black-eyed Susans, so I grew up with them, and I love them in the garden. There's something about them that I think is so pretty. These are our blueberry cuttings. They look like they're struggling, but they're still making it. This is new, us wood chipping this. So in the past, this whole area over here was all grass. grass, and it ended up being a disaster because we have butternuts that come up everywhere. You can see all of these are butternuts. They just come up on their own. Last year I didn't plant a single butternut, and we grew over 200 beautiful butternuts. And so this year, instead of dealing with the garden looking a mess because we can't mow because of the butternut squash vines, we decided to wood chip this whole area. And now we put paper down. You can see the chicken wire fence to stop the bunnies from getting in. And once that compost is ready, we will finish putting compost down here. And I think I'm gonna make this area the volunteer garden. So whatever comes up in the garden where I don't want it to, so butternuts, tomatoes, I'm gonna move them all over here. And then I'm also going to have a carrot raised bed, put hardware cloth underneath, and then I'm gonna have carrots grow in a raised bed because the voles eat my carrots every year and I'm tired of them eating my carrots. I'm also trying to grow spaghetti squash this year and watermelon. I've never had success with watermelon. So already I've had many watermelon seedlings just die. So this is all that I have left. I probably should just go ahead and buy more watermelon seed and just plant them all the way down because I would love to have watermelon. I don't know why, I just can't grow it. I had planted some over here in this corner and something killed it. I don't know. So yeah, this will all be spaghetti squash and watermelon, hopefully. And then this bed is red potatoes, and then potatoes from last year that never got dug up. And then blueberries. So we've got 3 blueberry bushes, which you can see the blueberries look so good. And then I have zinnias here. And then in this cage, I have celery and ginger. And this is to stop the voles from eating it because last year my mom gave me so much celery and the voles ate all of it. And then isn't this cute? I got this from the local nursery. It is a gray lavender. It's so pretty and it smells so good. And then the next bed, this is also a bed that we had caged. I have more onions. So these were the first onions that I planted this year. And I don't know if this area is going to get enough sun for them. We will see. I have Thai basil here in the front, and you can see why we have to put our onions in cages because these were all onions and now it's just all holes. And then I have zinnias, and so that'll be really pretty. This is my mint garden, which I also had ginger growing here last year. I didn't know if the mint smothered the ginger. That's why I'm putting the ginger over there to see if there's any difference. I know a lot of people would be completely mortified by the fact that I have mint growing in the ground, and that was a conscious decision. Scott and I love peppermint tea. That's why I planted them in the ground, was because I was like, I want mint all the time. And I don't want mint to be in pots and then they die. And so far it has been contained to just this area. And I know it is a massive area, but it smells so good. Mint tea tastes so good, and peppermint is just so good for you. I do mint infused in olive oil and make lip balms. And then this, if you don't want a mint that spreads, my mom gave me this. This is mountain mint, and it stays as a bush. I don't like the mountain mint taste as much as I do peppermint, but it's a good alternative if you want to plant mint in the ground and you don't want it to spread. We have 3 more blueberry bushes and then another 3 more over there. And then I planted these bubblegum petunias because I just think they're so pretty. And then up here is where the hostas are. So these are actually my grandma's hostas. I had them down at the peanut garden. The deers were eating them. So last year we dug them all up and planted them in front of the chicken coop. They are doing so well there. And then I also have gladiolas that I planted in little cages because the voles love gladiolas. You can see this one. Also, gladiolas are super tall, and so when they get tall, I'll just use string and tie them to the chicken coop. You can see the cute little babies. They are so cute. So far we definitely think 3 for sure are boys. There's 2 of them, that one and that one. Here's my only lemon balm that lived in the pot. You guys want some? Lastly, this area is where I planted a whole bunch of volunteer butternuts last year, and then they just took over this whole chicken wire fence, which was really nice because it gave us privacy back here. So I'm just doing that again. All of these are volunteer butternuts that were just coming up down in the garden that we've just moved up here. And then I also have a lot of amaranth. I love the way amaranth looks. It's just so pretty. It's this big red flower. So hopefully those all live. Hi guys. What you doing? That is what our garden is looking like at the beginning of May. Oh, and I forgot, this is our garlic, which is a disaster. Our garlic has been so bad this year. I don't know what happened, but I will never plant them on the terraces again. I don't know if my dirt wasn't as good. Last year I planted them down there and they did so good. And here, they have been awful. That is it for today's garden tour. I hope you enjoyed today's video and that you enjoy the rest of your day.